Greetings all, Frog here. Let's play some GeoGuessr. This is quite an interesting one, and we have been challenged, obviously, to use a submitted challenge. This was submitted by Matthew, a longtime contributor, longtime watcher. Probably the most vocal supporter I have in terms of getting words out there. Basically, on Twitter, he retweets everything I do, which is very appreciated to help get that out there. If you're not following me on Twitter, you should, because I post not only when the videos go live, but I do talk about random things. I'm trying to use it more often. I tend to forget. What'll happen is I'll use it for like 2-3 days, and I'll forget about it for 2-3 days, and I'll use it for 2-3 days. But, you know, I'm trying to at least get that going on. It's twitter.com/purplefrogplays. Feel free to follow along. What Matthew has done is he has taken the first ever GeoGuessr that I did and remade it into a challenge. I have not looked at this. I mean, he obviously told me what this was going to be, and I've had it for about a week and a half now. I have not gone, I promise you, I have not gone back to look at it. But I thought it was kind of an interesting, nice little retrospective idea here. I probably should have saved it for like the first anniversary of the channel, but no, I wasn't going to wait that long to do it. But this is apparently our first ever challenge that we had. So we'll see if I recognize any of it, if I remember where we are. I don't know. I do kind of recognize this. Like, this is sort of familiar. I don't know if it's in the same order of what we had or what, but here it is. I mean, we'll see. Have I learned in my GeoGuessr career of how to get better clues and better ideas of where we are, like seeing that this says smet.it to know that we're in Italy. You know, did I pick up on that the first time? I don't know. You'll have to go back and watch. First ever GeoGuessr, Season 1. Don't look in Season 2. You'll be confused. I mean, this is we did 200 episodes of GeoGuessr before the year. This is the 34th episode. So this is the 234th episode of GeoGuessr that we've ever done. And we're doing like a retrospective. Smet. Comune di Venezia. We're in Venice, apparently. Alright. I mean, looking at this, we're probably in mainland Venice because that's where they store all their stuff, right? Like, their warehouses are not, for the most part, on the islands. That's not entirely true of the glass makers. Like, the glass works, those are, but the actual, most of the rest of the place is not. It's on the mainland. Alright, well, let's go this way, I guess. We're heading towards where? Tangenziale. Ravenna, it's 130 kilometers, so we're 15 kilometers away from Venice. Venice is to the north, Ravenna is to the south. I've been to Ravenna, actually, as well as Venice. I don't remember where Ravenna is. Isn't it down here somewhere? It's Ferrara. There's Ravenna. So what we did when we came down, we went to, we landed outside of Venice, went to Venice the first day, stayed overnight. Where? Padua. I think we stayed overnight in Padua. And then the next day we went down to Ravenna, spent some time there, and we went to Siena, which is down here. Skipped Florence because this is the same church group. I went with a church group, and they had been to Florence the previous trip, like 5 years before that or something, so they wanted something different, so I went to Siena, which is great. And it's fun. If you talk to any of the Sienese, their city is better than Florence. I've never been to Florence, so I can't say, but it feels that way. So my guess is we're like somewhere like right around here-esque. I was way closer than that. I have a real problem with kilometers. I have no idea how any of those things work. That's okay. This appears to be the United States and Florida. Like Everglades territory. Not quite the Everglades, but I mean, it looks like Florida. The boat launch. Again, this looks familiar. But, you know, I'm pretty sure they're all going to look familiar because, oh, jeez. Because I'm expecting them to look familiar, you know what I mean? So they're going to look familiar. We're on the East 264. It is a hurricane evacuation route. We're heading toward Elizabeth and Gardens, the Lost Colony, Elizabeth II, NC Aquarium, North Carolina. We're North Carolina on the 264. Coastal, probably. Not necessarily. There's the 264. Oh yeah, I remember being around here somewhere. This does look familiar. I can't tell you where we were. Bellhaven, Washington, Greenville, Farmville, Saratoga, Zebulon. Alright, I feel like we were out over in this thing. But I don't know where, so let's keep going. We're heading north. North is good. North is limited territory on the 264. I'm not sure I could live somewhere where it has hurricane evacuation needs. But at the same time, I kind of wouldn't mind moving to Florida anymore. Although I would hate the summers so badly. I hate the heat. Let's let that corner catch up. That was very distracting. But I don't know. My wife would be happy. If we can get jobs that was worth it, we'd probably do it. Don't tell my boss. I like working for my boss too. Like, I'm very happy with my company. I have no major problems with it. You know, you're always going to find something you don't like about your company or your boss or your coworkers. That's just always how it's going to be. But the problems that I have here are honestly fairly minor. A lot of opportunities for growth, a lot of fun things that we're doing. It's a great opportunity, and I'm not saying that just because they might be watching this, because honestly, nobody from work watches this. But if we did move, Florida would probably be the place where we go. One, there's no personal income tax. It is so hard to ignore that. So that would be good. But to stay in the industry in which I'm in, I don't think I could do it, because the number of businesses there is, and the types of business in my industry are very small. There's not a lot I can do to grow in that regard. Look, we're on the 264 in the middle of nowhere. I think we're like here-esque. We were actually up in Stumpy Point. That's why I remembered that. And yeah, and then there is nothing until you get to Man's Harbor. Scotland? Yeah, looks like it. So it's an issue of, you know, can we make that move? I don't know. Midsland on Zee. Netherlands then? I feel like my wife would be really happy there. Again, assuming we could have jobs. But I don't know if I would be. And I'm willing to make sacrifices for my wife, because that's what you do. But that's a big sacrifice. So, I don't know. Maybe someday. We both would be very happy living in London as well, for instance. But I don't think we're quite ready to be expats either. Okay. Midland am See. Very small town. We are now leaving Midland am See. I hate to do this, but the Netherlands are not that big. Midland would mean you're applying in the middle. The problem is the middle of what? I'm going to say that the actual Netherlands, that was probably correct, but we're actually on Terschelling. I vaguely recall that. Alright, I'm sure I made some joke. Well, it looks like the Pacific Northwest, so we must be in Scandinavia. Which, I mean, it looks like Sweden. Northern Sweden, maybe Finland. We're heading south. This is important if we decide to come back and go the other way. We're both in great places in our career right now. It doesn't make sense to move. We need to be flexible. It's possible that her job could take her to Pittsburgh. Mine could take me pretty much anywhere in the world. Hers could too, but a little more difficult. The mobility in her company is not the same as the mobility in mine. Like, she can go pretty high up without moving. Whereas for me to do that, it's difficult. It's a matter of size, really. I don't know. It's enough that I'm thinking about going back for an MBA, but I'm just like, man, I really don't want to do that. It just seems like I've always known that an MBA is a waste. And then to go back and get a third master's degree, that just seems so ridiculous. If there was some sort of doctoral program I could go into and just like take whatever remedial courses I needed to do to cover that. Like if there's a doctor of business administration or something, that might be interesting. But to have to do an MBA, oh my God. Especially being out of school for 10 years, having the business experience that I have. This is nowhere. Let's go back and go north. Good Lord. That's still south. Let's go north. I've been playing around with the idea of going back to school. I just don't know. You know, I'd like to be a doctor, because not like a medical doctor, just like to get a PhD or a DM, Doctor of Music, a DMA, Doctor of Musical Arts, whatever. Just something that, because I would just like to be, because I would feel accomplished, you know, because I could do it. I know I have the skill to do it. It's a matter of, you know, putting it into the schedule, because it's not finding time. I know where the time is. I could see it right now, but you have to make the time to do it, right? So if I go back to school, probably this channel would go away, which I don't want to do, because I'm enjoying this channel, frankly. Or it would become a shell of what it was. Like I could do, like, you know, 7 videos a week instead of 4 videos a day, or 5 videos a day like I was doing, and probably could get back into again. I just don't want to stress myself out right now trying to do that. That's why I'm at 4. And the problem is, because I like Binding of Isaac, and now I'm getting into Star Wars Rogue. I'm sorry, is that moose in the road? It's like an elk. There's elk in the road. That's definitely elk. Could be reindeer, but I think it's elk. Although no, because it doesn't. They're reindeer. There's reindeers in the road. They must be on holiday. I mean, where else do reindeer go on holiday but Sweden? They're not going to go to the Bermudas. It's too warm. Man, I mean, I can't imagine I must have gotten a good score on this one. This was rough. Yeah, I don't know. We're up north here somewhere. Up northern Sweden, maybe Finland, but we're going to say Sweden. Alright, it's not quite as far north as I would have thought. But there's reindeer. 5 of 5. Crazy. Gorgeous view. Love it. Looks familiar. I feel like not only have I been here in that first guess, but I've been here subsequently. Like, this might be the 3rd time on GeoGuessr that I've been here. Yeah, because I remember that house. Norwegian flag flying, yeah? Yeah. And then I also remember that looking both ways, I can't pinpoint where we are. You have to go quite a distance to help with that. There was a Norwegian flag there, by the way, if you don't believe me. Well, go back and watch either video. But we're in a fjord-like area. A lot of lakes. It is Norway. I'm just going to say we're over here somewhere. I don't remember exactly where we were. I feel like it was... oh, no. I feel like it was down here by Hamar. No, it was way in the north. Totally wrong. Well, I mean, that's okay. So this was the first ever challenge reprise. 17,591 in old GeoGuessr is not a great score, so I probably didn't do well the first time, because I've learned a lot more tips and tricks this time, that's for sure. But I don't know. Can't tell you one way or the other. As for everything else, you know, I mean, you'll hear an update someday if we decide to move, but for now, we're staying where we are and just enjoying life, trying to do the best that we can. So, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, click that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel to stay updated on everything as it happens. And until next time, cheers.